What up, world? It's your boy Boxing LJ, aka Left Hook Less, and I am back to give my reaction video to this past weekend's fights. They were amazing, to say the least. Let's hop right into it. First, the main event on Top Rank, Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Berchelt. Listen, I told you all in my prediction video that somebody was getting knocked out. I don't know when y'all gonna start listening to your boy, but I was right. Oscar Valdez knocked Miguel Berchelt out. It was sort of a passing of the guard fight. And honestly, I don't even think Miguel Berchelt should have been knocked out. What should have happened was his corner should have threw in the towel in round 4. Man, Berchelt's legs looked like a baby giraffe. He could hardly stand up, man. They should have threw in the towel in round 4 when Valdez was landing some heavy shots. But they didn't, and I understand why they didn't. They wanted the champion to fight on. I get it, I understand. But look what happened. And it was a scary knockout too. I mean scary. It was reminiscent of Manuel Marquez knocking out Manny Pacquiao. Like, I thought that both of them were dead for a little bit. I was grateful to see Manny Pacquiao, just as I was grateful to see Miguel Berchelt start breathing. But boy, man, kudos to Oscar Valdez. I hope this is the start of a long and prosperous career. And let me tell you something. Oscar Valdez's trainer, Eddie Chepo Reynoso, that's a bad boy. He also trains Ryan Garcia, who's in contention for a title at 135. And he also trains Saul Canelo Alvarez, among others. Last year, Chepo Reynoso was my runner-up for Trainer of the Year behind Derek James. Check out my Boxing Year in Review Part 2. But this year, he's in the front running so far. He's in the front running so far. Now, switching from Top Rank to Premier Boxing Champions. They also had a card on this weekend. Before we get to the main event, which is Adrian Broner versus Giovanni Santiago, I want to correct myself because in my prediction video, I said Javier Santiago, but his first name is Giovanni, and I want to put some respect on his name. Before we get to that fight, let's talk about the undercard fights. I didn't predict Robert Easter versus Martin. However, it was a good showing by Bunny, Robert Easter. He looked good. He used his height. He used his range. He used that beautiful jab to keep Martin off of him all night. Martin couldn't do anything. And the rare times he did get inside, he won the majority of them, but Bunny held his ground. So Bunny looked a whole lot better from the outside using that range. But he also looked better on the inside, so it's encouraging. I'm glad to see that he has regrouped since that Mikey Garcia loss. So I'm glad to see that Bunny rebounded and he's looking a whole lot better after taking that loss to Mikey Garcia. And after the fight, Bunny looked like Martin when he took on Thomas the Hitman Hearns. But Bunny looked good in this fight. Moving on. Dominik Brazil versus Otto Wallin. I'm rarely wrong, folks, but in this case, I was wrong. I predicted that Dominik Brazil would knock Wallin out. I was predicting that, this time that he had taken away since the Deontay Wilder knockout, I was thinking that, maybe he had time to regroup and refocus, just like Robert Easter did. However, when Dominik Brazil got in there, he just looked like he hadn't recovered from the knockout. And one thing I appreciate about Showtime commentators, I believe they're the best commentators in the business, besides my personal favorite, which is Andre Ward, who's on Top Rank. But one thing I appreciate of Abner Mares is that he spoke on how long and how treacherous the road was to getting back into the ring after getting knocked out. And Dominik Brazil, he hadn't taken all the steps to get back there. He survived the fight, but you could just tell he wasn't the same. Leading up to the fight, I was encouraged that, he was ready. He was saying all the right things, you know what I'm saying? But there's a difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. LSI, let's see it. And we saw it. He just wasn't ready. He wasn't there mentally. And I give him kudos because he toughed it out. He stayed in the fight throughout the entire fight, but his legs looked like noodles. He also looked like a baby giraffe in some moments of the fight. And he honestly looked like George Foreman versus Michael Moore, but George Foreman was able to complete the job. He was Dominik Brazil. He was loading up on every punch. Ugh. And when you load up on every punch, it's slow. And Wallin, I give him credit because the fight against Tyson Fury was not a fluke. In this fight against Dominik Brazil, Wallin looked like a complete fighter. He looked like a complete fighter. He had good defense, had good movement. He was able to pick his shots, and he basically picked apart Dominik Brazil. So I'm looking forward to what's next for Wallin. I hope Dominik Brazil can fully recover. Hopefully he looks back on the fight, and hopefully he listens to Abner Mares' advice, because I definitely want to see Dominik Brazil back in the ring. This is now his third loss. He lost to Anthony Joshua. He got knocked out in that first round by Deontay Wilder, and now he lost to a good Wallin. I do want to say this about Wallin. While he had a good showing against Tyson Fury, and he looked very good against Dominik Brazil, I don't believe he has the power to keep off the elites. Yes, he was able to stick in there with Tyson Fury, but Tyson Fury really doesn't have power like that. I don't believe he'll be able to keep off Anthony Joshua. I don't believe he'll be able to keep off Deontay Wilder. I don't believe... I say this, who I want to see him fight, I think a good matchup will be him and Andy Ruiz. Wallin versus Andy Ruiz, I think that'll be a good benchmark to see where he's at. I don't believe that he's ready for Luis King Kong Ortiz, although I would love to see that fight. LSI, let's see it. Ortiz versus Wallin, let's make it happen. Moving on. The main event, the return of Adrian the Problem Broner. I told y'all in my prediction video that he was going to win. My method was wrong. I predicted a late round knockout. However, my prediction was right. He did win. He won a unanimous decision. And boy, oh boy, were the casual fans upset. Oh, when I tell you they were upset. Man, I do not get a lot of comments because I'm brand new in this boxing thing. But there are two names that I could bring up and the trolls will start coming. If I say anything negative about Canelo Alvarez, even though I think Canelo Alvarez is top 5 pound for pound, But if I critique him in any way, which I critique every fighter, boy, you casual Canelo fans will come out of the woodworks to comment and try to discredit what I'm saying. And Adrian Broner. The hate for Adrian Broner it's magnificent. Like, it's magnificent, and not in a good way. Like, you guys are so blinded by rage and hate that you can't even objectively listen to what I'm saying. Like, has Adrian Broner made some mistakes? Yes, he's made a lot of them. However, so have we. If we were making millions of dollars and had cameras following us everywhere, a lot of our mistakes would be highlighted, just like Adrian Broner's mistakes are. Is he a great fighter? Yes. Does he always show his greatness? No. However, take two. However, on Saturday night, Adrian Broner looked just like the problem Broner. However, he was more mature. Yes, Giovanni Santiago outlanded him. However, just like the first Mayweather and Castillo fight, Castillo outlanded Mayweather. However, you can't judge by the total punches landed. You have to go round by round. And the rounds where, I'll stick with the Canelo Castillo, the Mayweather Castillo fight, and the rounds where Mayweather either was close to outlanding Castillo or outlanded Castillo, those rounds he landed the more effective punches and he controlled the ring, which is similar to what Adrian Broner did this past Saturday. His punches were more effective. He picked his punches. He was more smarter with the choosing of his punches. And a lot of the punches that CompuBox gave Giovanni Santiago, he didn't really land. Like, they were partially blocked by Adrian Broner's elbow, or he would roll with them. Like, you guys have to learn to stop listening to everything you hear on the internet or even with the commentators. Because while I love Showtime's commentators, this specific fight, they seem to have something against Adrian Broner. The only objective one, the only semi-objective one, is the current fighter, Abner Mars. Everybody else was spewing the same hate out on Adrian Broner. He's not doing enough. He's getting outlanded. Giovanni Santiago is controlling the fight, which he was not. And it amazes me that, especially the Showtime commentators, they can be objective 90% of the time. But when it comes to fighters that are black, fighters that are outspoken, fighters that, play the villain, they tend to not like them. And it's just like, I wish they would check themselves. But Adrian Broner, to me, put on a boxing clinic. And while you may not agree, the judges agreed with me. And guess what? They're professionals, ladies and gentlemen. They are professionals. So I'm going to post some tweets that some people responded to me, because I was also tweeting about the fight. Follow me on Twitter at LRUIZJ. Again, that is at LRUIZJ on Twitter and Instagram. LRuizJ, Twitter and Instagram. Follow me, y'all. I was tweeting the whole entire fight, and I was even scoring the fight. And before the announcer announced the judges' scorecards, folks thought my scorecard was crazy. They was like, "What fight are you watching?" I need the weed that you're smoking. And I had the last laugh because, first of all, I didn't see the responses until after the judges' cards were announced. And the judges agreed with me. So while you may not agree with everything I'm saying, take the time to objectively listen, because I know my boxing and I'm right most of the time. And when I'm wrong, just like I was wrong about the prediction of Dominik Brazil versus Wallin, I'll admit it. But those are rare and few and far in between. And I also want to say this. Despite all of Adrian Broner's mistakes, despite all of that, there are only 4 people in the history of boxing, and boxing has been around for over 2 centuries. There's only 4 people in the history of boxing to win titles at 130, 135, which is lightweight, 140, and 147, which is welterweight. There's only 4 people that have done that. Manny Pacman Pacquiao, Oscar the Golden Boy De La Hoya, Floyd Money Mayweather, and Adrian the Problem Broner. So you can hate all you want to, folks, but facts are facts. Adrian the Problem Broner is a bad boy, and if he's focused like he was on the ring in Saturday, the sky is the limit for him. Now, I prefer him to go back down to 140, but hey, if he looked like he did last night, if he looked like he did on Saturday night, he could fight wherever he wants to. That's all I got to say. Let me know in the comment section if you watched my prediction video. Let me know if you watched the fights. Give me your perception of the fights. And what do you think is next for Oscar Valdez? What do you think is next for Robert Easter? What do you think is next for Dominik Brazil, for Otto Wallin? What do you think is next for Adrian Broner? Let me know. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button, and share with others. The only way that this is going to grow is by you. It's your boy, Boxing LJ, aka Left Hook Less, and I'm out. I was just as happy. Take 3. As happy as I was to see Manny Pacquiao stop, take 4. When he was looking like Martin, after that episode where Martin fought, Dave, who did he fight? He fought, take 2.